Yeah, guys, how's it going? How's it going? What up, gentlemen? What's up, gentlemen? How you guys feeling? How you doing?
What's going on, brother?
Good? You guys good? That's it.
We are here. We're here.
We're here once again, Monday night. That's right. Shop Talk here. I am Gunter Man from Soapbox Stand Up and Speak. We are here, 5 gentlemen with no agenda, ready to talk about the popular topics of today, believing to leave a legacy, a generation of new perspectives to combat the truths that we've been seeing and hearing on social media. We are lending our voices, we're lending our time, our talents, and of course our hearts to the individuals out there endeavoring to know something more. You know, as I say on my show, the Gunter Man Show, it's we only know what we know, and what we know isn't everything there is to know. So we're endeavoring to share what we know to build up all you people out there, and even ourselves. Because as I listen to these 4 other guys speak, I'm constantly reminded about things that maybe I need to shift and turn and twist to rethink about. So here's 4 guys, including myself, ready to rip and roar, ready to talk about our lives. But first, let each person introduce themselves and talk about your platform, and let's go from there. Tony Watts, talk to us.
Well, that's the first time I had to do it first. All right, that's beautiful. I'm Tony Watts of Triumphant TV. Triumphant TV is designed to bring the nuances of the Black community to you. When I say the Black community and Black excellence, I'm not excluding any humane person or humanity out of that topic, because it takes humanity to move forward. What we do on the channel is we have a lot of deep conversations about how to get better, how to do things better, and to highlight those people that you're not looking at on a normal basis, because it's important. Because the news is going to show us that, you know, we're thugs, we're criminals, we're basketball players, we're superstars, and not the everyday 9-to-5 person that shows up, that's working in their community doing that work. And that's what I bring to the table. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me. I love you all.
Yeah, Derek Jones, talk to us.
All right, my name is Derek Jones from the Relationship Gumbo podcast. I'm a certified life and relationship coach, and you know, I'm a engineer, and I'm a problem solver, a puzzle solver. So if there's some little pieces that's missing, I help you find those pieces and put it back together so you can make better decisions. So tonight, you know, and I'm all about the emotional side of things. I'm all about peeling back layers. So this is my show tonight. We about to get it in. And that's what I bring to the table. I like to look at the things that may be wrong and try to dig and find the little pieces, those little things that you may ignore, and kind of put a magnifying glass on it so that we can move forward. So That's all I got. Tony Massey's up.
Good evening, everyone. It's your boy Tony Massey. I'm so excited about tonight because this is a topic I think that is going to resonate with both men and women as it relates to the emotions that men have and how we express those emotions. So really excited about this. You can find me at Tony Massey Speaks or Tony Massey Cooks on YouTube, Instagram, and my TikTok. So real excited about tonight. So much so, I'm gonna keep my comments to a minimum. I'm lying. No, I'm not.
All right, that's what I want to hear.
No,
that's what
definitely not. Absolutely.
Right. All right, last
John
but not least, yeah, bringing up the caboose.
Definitely
John Singletary. I'm the host of the Help Myself podcast, and you can find out everything related to the Help Myself podcast at www.thehelpmyselfpodcast.com. That's one-stop shopping for everything. So you can find all my socials and everything that I got going on. Man, just helping people to help themselves so that we can all become the absolute best version of ourselves. You know, I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about leadership, and that does include self-leadership. But I'm just passionate about making this a better place. And I'm so honored to be with this collective of gentlemen. And it's not about us. It's not about a specific thing. It's about making everybody better. So I look forward to tonight because I say, let me see. I say Tony Watts is going to pull out the Kleenex first.
That's right. You already know, man. All right. Well, the topic for tonight is emotional incarceration. Why do men keep their emotions on lockdown? Why do us men keep our emotions on lockdown? Who wants to go first? Because you know I'm quick to talk, but who wants to go first to break the ice?
I don't know, Gunner, man. It's your platform tonight. I think you should kick it off, brother. Besides, we didn't get a chance to hear from you last week, so you know we're fiending for you for that word.
Yeah, I was in Chicago. Yeah. Well, you know, when I think about emotional incarceration, the first thing that comes to mind for myself is what is culture teaching us about being a man, being a proper man when it comes to all our feelings, all our emotions. You know, for years and years and years, I've always been a very bubbly person. You know, you've known me since high school. I've always been a upbeat, high energy type of person. But you know, when it comes to being in the dating scene, sometimes I would get the pushback from women saying like, "You too bubbly." Like me being me wasn't man enough, or the what culture was pushing as real manly. And but to myself, it didn't matter because instantly they just told me that I'm not for you. But it still leaves marks. It still left marks. You're thinking that, you know, maybe I need to be more, you know, filled with this machismo, that Latin machismo, that bravado, that extra for no damn reason. Because the minute I choose that way of being, I'm no longer being me. And I'm a strong believer that if my needs are going to be met by God, because I believe in the higher power, God can't bless the bits of me that I fake. He can't bless the fake part of me. So I was forced to say, hey, I'm still going to be me. But why is culture teaching us that to share our feelings, to talk about the things that are going on inside our heart and mind, either to a group of guys or to a woman that we're interested in? Why is culture teaching you that if you are that way, that you're clingy? Or why is it teaching you that you're a punk or a wimp? Why is it teaching that to be that way, anything outside of being this what manly man, that deep voice and coming with this aggression, why isn't that being a man also? Why where this? Because when I think about the big picture, I think about how America started. And we know all the killing of people, the killing of a race to take land. But in the taking of the land, the men had to protect the family. The men had to be in the mindset when you're out on the frontier and you're home, the next home that's closest to you is X amount of acres away from you. You had to take on that. You don't dare come my way or I will take you out. So you had to give that extra bravado, maybe, to kind of send signals to all the other men, don't come in my territory. But we have carried that all the way into modern times where we keep those same beliefs, but it's detrimental. It's detrimental to what we're trying to establish in relationships with our women. What do you guys think?
I'll hop in there. I've dealt with this topic in my own life, and it was raised to believe that men are to be, boys are to be tough and strong, and you don't cry and you don't show emotion, and you toughen up. And I feel like it not only did it deny me opportunities to truly explore what I was feeling inside, it did create a prison of my emotions that I did not come out of until I sought therapy after 3 combat engagements rather. I didn't know how to just verbalize, I feel this way, right? And it wasn't so much that I didn't know what the words were. It was the response that I got from even having the audacity to put those words together was so negative from other men or from people, my peers or whatever the case may be, that I lost the ability to even verbalize how I felt. And so all of this was internalized, and it manifested in behavior that I'm not proud of. I became very selfish, and I felt like because no one was willing to hear how I felt, then I could feel any way I wanted to. And in feeling any way I wanted to, I could pursue anything I wanted to pursue that would make me feel good, even if it was at the detriment to the people around me. And it wasn't until I realized, or I was
Yes,
taught
sir.
through therapy, that, not that my feelings don't matter, they do. But my feelings are not or my needs or my wants and my desires, they are not the center of the universe. They're the center of my universe. And it gains me nothing hurting people, that's saying hurt people. Well, they don't have to, right? Especially if you remember how it felt to be on the side of being hurt. And so going through therapy was really an eye-opening experience for me, because it taught me something that I think to this day I still use as a tool, and that is my childhood was my childhood, right? And although it has shaped me and it has formed me and it has influenced me, I'm not a child anymore. Not to get biblical, but when I was a child, I thought as a child. When I became a man, I put away my childish toys. Not only do I put away those childish toys, I put away that childhood trauma as well. Because at this point in my life, I make the decision that I'm no longer going to pacify that hurt little boy. I'm going to deal with him. I'm going to give him a voice, but then I'm going to move on in manhood. And I think so many men get stuck in that trauma. And a lot of them, unfortunately, their mothers, and I hope I don't step on any toes, but their mothers are the cause of that trauma. And you can see that in the way they treat women, because there are certain things you can say to women that you can't say to your mama, right? Because that's sacred. You know what I mean? But that anger, that energy goes somewhere, and you point it towards the person who looks like the person who hurt you. So there's a lot of men walking around who have been hurt by their mothers. They've never dealt with that trauma. And I don't think it was intentional. I think we all do the best we can. But because they have not dealt with that trauma, now they're hurting women, and they're subscribing to these ideas of women that are vastly erroneous, like the angry Black woman. Has anyone ever thought to ask why the sisters are so angry, if they are. You know, I don't meet too many angry Black people. I don't know where these sisters are. Most of the women that I meet are very happy-go-lucky people. They're stressed. They're, they're frustrated, but angry. They're disappointed, but they're not angry. But again, I don't think that that's all pointed to the right person. I think a lot of us just need to deal with our childhood trauma in a safe way so that we can unlock the prison doors and allow our emotions to come out and feel free to just be whatever our emotion is. You could be sad,
Right.
you could be happy, you could be, melancholy. You can be without having to put on that facade. That's how I feel about it.
You see
Yeah,
him with them
you know,
big words.
you really come to understand. You really come
Yeah.
to understand that in a place of being hurt, you're gonna look for things to bring you some joy. You're gonna look for those things in the midst of it. So if you don't find healing, like just in a relationship, when I speak to my clientele, I said, if you're in a marriage where you're constantly being disappointed and let down or cheated on, a situation like that, you as an individual, you're gonna find a way to find joy. And oftentimes the way that you look for joy is in the place that's gonna edify the relationship that you're in. And that's what we're doing, where men that are hurt haven't found a place to heal, looking for selfish joys to fill the void. Anyone else?
All right, so let me jump in here real quick. I want to give some clinical definitions to what we're dealing with tonight, because I think that's very, very important for where we're coming from. It's called alexithymia, right? It's a clinical term, and it's actual disorder. What happens is, what we do is it's an emotional state where you disconnect from yourself emotionally, right? We have people walking around saying Black men don't have emotional tendencies. We talk about Black men not being able to handle breakups the way women handle breakups. We talk about Black men not being able to be emotionally involved with their children. So if you put that together, right, and I'm not placing this disorder on anyone. Trust me, you need to go talk to a psychiatrist or your doctor to have this diagnosis really put together. I'm just putting it out there as a footnote or a pin so we can understand what it is, okay? So when we're dealing with this thing, right, it brings on depression, anxiety, severe stress. Medication can cause it. Abuse can cause it. And other underlying disorder can cause this particular thing. And it's really important. So I'm going to spell it for you so you can look it up for yourself. It's Alexithymia. It's an actual disorder. So what happens with, and what we say to people all the time is we say our words have meaning, right? So we sit here telling men that you're emotionally unavailable. You don't connect emotionally. What you're basically beginning to tell a man is to section himself off, right, from his emotional accountability. You're telling him that he's not able to do something. So therefore, when he feels, remember the things that I told you, when he feels anxious, when he feels depressed, when he feels all these other symptoms, he can't release it to you because you have already told him he's unable to be that thing. So now he's taking on a disorder, not actually, but he's taking it on it from a standpoint where he can't talk about it. He has no place to park it. I can't go to my man because my man's going to say, stop acting like a girl. I can't go to my girl. She's going to tell me to man up. Where do I unpack that at, right? So we are placing disorders on men, right, from the gate, from children.
Yes.
Little boy runs down the block and hurts his knee. Don't cry. What are you talking about? I spank you. Don't cry. What are you talking about? I'm talking to you to discipline you. I tell you not to speak back to me. What am I talking about? I am closing you off emotionally to express yourself. So when we come to talk about this topic of emotions, we have to understand that men are not monolithic, and men are a part of the emotional equation that God made us to be. As emotional as a woman can be, a man can be just as emotional. So stop saying that thing that a man can't take what a woman puts out as far as a woman cheats, if a woman leaves, that we don't break down and cry and go into our secret place and hurt. We hurt. We just don't show it because it's looked down upon us and it's thrown on us as daggers. I want to just put that out there so you guys can understand what we're dealing with from a psychological standpoint. Next.
Excellent. Excellent.
Oh, I don't know if you want to go, John. I'll yield to you if you're ready.
Oh, hey, man, I got an exuberant kid around here, but I'll jump in, man. I'm just tickled that Tony said next. No, yeah, we got the clinical. I love it when Tony come in there and give us those stats and that clinical stuff, because that gives us a strong baseline. But I wanted to really piggyback on something that brother Tony Massey said. You know, he talked about that prison, and you know, when you got something that's worth protecting, you do put it in a safe place. You know, we got locks on our front doors, you know, we close the garage, but the key to keeping something safe is that it has the ability to move around. Like my door opens when I need to walk out of it, or, you know, like things like that. But when we don't allow that access or allow things to come out, it then becomes that prison that Tony Massey was talking about. And we become emotionally incarcerated because yes, our emotions do need to be protected, but when we get to the point where we don't allow any flow in or out, we become incarcerated. And I was looking at the Red Talk table with Will Smith and Kevin Hart yesterday, and I was like, wow, I'm glad I watched this because it's going to speak right to what we want to talk about. But Will Smith talked about, you know, with his sons, it was like, I don't care about your feelings. You know, who cares about your, and then he says you can kind of get away with that with a son because the world is going to you know, it's going to co-sign on the fact that we're not worried about it. Like when we go play sports, coaches tell us man up. You know, when we go out to a job, they say, you know, man up. I'm military. We talk about military bearing all the time, you know, being in funerals and all that, and they like stand there and, you know, keep your jaw straight and all this other stuff. But he said when he had his daughter, and like it was serious to her, like she was like, Daddy, you don't care about my feelings. And then he had to realize that how a person feels is everything to that person. You know, we're walking around saying, oh, I'm all right, I'm good, but everything that's important about us, it starts and ends with our feelings, you know, how we feel. And when we get incarcerated and don't feel safe to talk about our feelings, and sure, as men, maybe we want to do it differently. Maybe, you know, we don't sit down and eat ice cream after a breakup, and you know, but I ain't gonna lie, you know, I wish I could get some ice cream and a hug and we watch some movies after that, but because I'd be hurting when my little heart get broken. But you know, maybe we do it in a different way. But when we talk about solution focus, we as men, you know, we kind of need to reach out in those emotional olive branches to each other. Like, hey, let's have a real talk, brother. Let's not talk about the game last night or, you know, the Greek freak go off and let's talk about, you know, how you're feeling, what's going on. So those are some of the things that we really need to look at, because again, society does it to us, but it's on us to change it up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like you talked about, the lock on the door, it imprisons you. So it doesn't keep that thing safe, but it actually puts you behind where you now don't have the freedom to go about because you're trying to keep that thing safe. And as I tell my clients, that it's the secret things in life that eat you alive. It's the secret things. We don't have in this culture men's group where we could get together and sit down and talk about our feelings, our emotions. Even remember when Tony Watts and I was putting together a men's group meeting that we had to use the word empowerment instead of the word help. Remember that, Tony Watts, right? Instead of using the word help, you had to use the word empowerment. Now, the catch is that in the place of being vulnerable, you know, where it takes real courage to share your feelings, there is in our culture that no real feeling of being courageous because you share your feelings. So you're told that courage takes you being vulnerable, and then with being vulnerable, you don't get the tag when it comes to being vulnerable with your emotions. You don't get the tag of courageous. You don't get it. So what do you think, Derek Jones?
So I've taken a lot of time, probably in the past, I would say maybe 6 or 7 years of really unpacking like the emotional side of me from like a kid growing up. So that's why when I came in, I was like, this right here, this is my topic right here. I think like for me, like I would say just getting out of high school, I wasn't the guy that was the super, like, to matter of fact, to your point, Gunter Man, I was the guy who was emotionally intelligent coming out of there, going into relationships. And those women that I got into relationships with, those particular women slapped it down. They was like, that's not manly. Why are you being so affectionate with me? Why are you hugging me like this? This is not what men do. Why are you telling me how much you care about me so much? This isn't manly. And I would say maybe 2 girlfriends after that, after being slapped down every time, I shut it off because I was like, there's no value in me. And of course, this is my anecdotal evidence, but this was my world. I felt like there was no value in it. I'm not going to get a girl if I'm acting like this, so let me shut it off. And guess what happened when I shut it off? I became more attractive. This is when you conform to what society says is supposed to be the thing, society accepts you. These women accepted me when I didn't show it. But to the title of the show, it's not really who I am. It's locked away. And when you lock things away, I don't care if it's a lion or a grown man, you want to get it out. It wants to get out. It wants to break out with a fervor, like get me out of here. And so going through that, pretending to be something else is literal jail. I don't care what context you put it in. When you mute down who you are, it's like a prison. And we talk about how we always hear people talk about how our boys won't allow us to be emotional. But imagine I forget who talked about it, but imagine your boys and the women you try to date, and maybe even your mom, they're all doing it together. You don't have anywhere to put it. So it stays caged. And one of the things, before I finish this point, that kind of got to me on social media, and I talk about this a lot, is I went on this post on TikTok, and the woman said, I want to know how many men were, when you were growing up or at any point in your life. Matter of fact, she was asking about emotions. When have you ever had the opportunity to share your emotions with a woman that you was with? And out of thousands, like when I have a topic like this, I scroll through like all of it because I'm trying to find the pattern. The pattern was probably about 90 to 95% of them says, I tried it before one time. And when it was shut down, I'm not going to allow anyone, past, present, or future, to get access to that vulnerable side of me again because it hurt. These were grown men. Hundreds and hundreds of them were saying verbatim, exactly the same thing. Because at first I'm like, okay, somebody may be trolling. It's a couple people that's saying that it was most of them honestly saying, I don't know where to put it because I don't feel safe putting it out there. And I'm never going to do it again just in case someone else wants to hurt me. You know how stifling that is? The rest of your life, you're putting an indictment on the rest of your life today saying, I will never do it because that 1 or 2 times totally took it away from me. So that hurt to hear that, because if you don't allow yourself that space, you're a ticking time bomb. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, Rick, before you jump into the next joint, let me just put this out here real quick. I saw I forgot what YouTube is, and if I knew what it was, I wouldn't even advertise it because it was so disgusting. 2 men, 3 females, and the dude asked the question: if I call my man up because he's sick and I ordered him some soup or brought soup over to his crib, would that be okay? And the women across the board said, no, that's homo. And I stopped and was like, what are you talking about? You mean I can't go comfort my man that's sick right now, that can't get out the house to go get himself something to eat and just go get him some soup? That has to be homosexual? Like, are you for real right now? Are you serious? So if women that's listening to this, I want you to be very, 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 very careful of how you verbalize how a man should be. We are emotional creatures the same way you are. I love each and every person on this panel. I will call them periodically to tell them that I love them and I respect them for who they are. And if we have to have a conversation where there's tears, there will be tears. But if you come in my face to fight me, I will hurt you. So where does that take away my manhood? Because I want to be emotional with you. You women have to understand. Listen, we don't blame women here for anything. What I want to put out there is you have to understand that a man has to have a safe space to release his emotions without being torn down. Derek said it perfectly. If you tear a man down that shows you his emotions, some of us get past it. Some of us have dealt with it and gotten past it. We saw therapy, and we understand it's healthy to go out and show our emotions regardless of what somebody else thought. Some of us don't know how to get to that therapy. So we hold it inside, and we never, ever, ever again show that part of us. And then you're stuck in the house with a guy going, why aren't you emotionally available to me? Where's your emotional intelligence? Because somebody destroyed it for him. So it broke him so bad that he can never show it again, that he now can't feel safe in showing it to you. I just want to put that out there for you guys to understand. Thanks.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a point I wanted to run with next. You know, the concept of when women complain to their girlfriends, oh, he doesn't let me know how he feels. He doesn't tell me. He doesn't share his thoughts. He doesn't tell me about his day and all the details of it. And this is what the culture teaches. It teaches you not to share these things, not to speak up about these things. Yet it's exactly what you complain about when it comes to your girlfriend. So you decide, are you going to pick a man that's already willing to share his thoughts from the jump start of a relationship, and you find that as okay, not being clingy, not being a wimp, not being homosexual, as Tony says. So where do you decide that is that the route you want to go? That you're going to willing to hear a man out with his feelings and not go with the way culture's saying? Or are you going to say like, okay, I'm going to sit here and complain about my man not telling me anything, but yet when a man was willing to tell me something, I didn't want to hear it because it wasn't culturally comfortable. What's your thoughts, guys?
Let's read some of these comments before we do, though. I will say one thing. The only thing that makes you a homosexual is having a sexual attraction to the same sex. That's it. No. Can you hear me?
It's breaking up for me. I don't
Breaking
know
up
about
a
everybody
little.
else.
You're breaking up a little bit, man.
Yeah, it's breaking up.
No.
Talk to us. Can you hear us?
But I'm not sure what's going on.
From what I see on my
you're still
screen,
breaking up.
Tony and John, y'all both need to refresh.
Rick, let allow them to refresh before we go on.
Okay, done deal. But I also like the idea that when it comes to these relationship needs, the of emotions, being able to share these things, to lock it down, how would you ever find a woman of your dreams? If you lock those things down, how would you ever find someone that will give you the feeling that she'll have your back and have your understanding? How would you ever find if you lock it down? Like, why would you punish the new girl for the things that have gone on in the past that hurt you?
So real quick, as our buddies are reinforcing themselves, I think, and this is going to be a big one, and I'm going to put it out there because I'm not afraid. Women sometimes think the way we blow their backs out is the way that we love them, and don't understand we're releasing our emotional expressions. Since we can't release it anywhere else, I'm going to release it right here. Because you're not asking me any questions about how I release it right here. You're going to allow me to release it right here the way I need to. So all of the back shots, all of the sexy craziness that I might be able to get into, and all of the manliness I can show that way of releasing my emotions, that sometimes is more or less me getting rid of all of the emotions that I have pent up versus me just loving on you. So when you really want a man to come in and tear your guts out, that's what he's doing. I just want to put that out.
Tony Massey, can you hear us now?
He still looks frozen to me.
Yeah, he's still frozen. You know, like you're gonna have to find a way to express all that you're feeling on the inside. You know, it has to find a way out. It has to find a way out. And oftentimes it's not constructive, it's destructive. So what do you do in those for instances? How do you get to the place where you're actually going to be able to find a relationship where your core needs are being met? Where your core needs, because being able to talk about your emotions, being able to say, hey, I'm going through this rough situation is a part of healing. Getting answers, you know, the benefit of having, say, the woman's perspective is just a perspective that comes from a different angle of emotions, because that natural nurturing ability, the ability to nurture, comes in. So being able to speak and just share and to be able to find the answers really, really works. So we can figure this out. Yeah, we're being refreshed. It's all right. Can you hear us now, Tony Massey?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So,
you're good to go.
You good?
Here's what we learned. Not everybody can refresh. I'm so sorry. I was saying was let's read some of the comments. Hopefully we still got some people on. So that was my fault. I apologize.
Yeah, you're breaking up again, bro.
You in the matrix again, sir.
All right, so share some thoughts there, Joan. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. We're going to fill in the space a little bit until the tech problems disappear. But so here's the thing, right? When we talked about what Tony Watts just talked about the sexual aspect of it, when I talked about what I had to become after not having my emotions being received well, a lot of times what you don't realize from men, and we're talking about men tonight. I know that a lot of this stuff we're talking about crosses over to women as well, but we're talking about men and our personal perspective. So it's like a lot of times what we don't realize as men, as we're moving through this, you know, dating and relationships and all this other kind of stuff. And Tony Watts talked about the sexual aspect of it. A lot of times when we do connect with you, coming from a traumatic space, to Tony Massey's point, that sex is tied into that. Sometimes we're not even looking for a relationship. We're looking for a trauma bond. We're looking for somebody to bond with all of that hurt that we're feeling that we can't get out, and we take it out on you. We, you know, there's a lot of things that we do to cope. A lot of times it looks messy. It looks dangerous. You may not understand it. It may look angry sometimes because he doesn't have a place to have an outlet that feels safe. And unfortunately, and I forgot who, I think it was Gunter Man that said it. A lot of times when we get in relationships, and I was on the show a couple of weeks ago that actually brought this point up. There's a population of women that are so frustrated that they can't get their man to talk.
Yeah.
And the pushback was on the show, what from the women were, well, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm present. I feel like I'm giving him a safe space, and he's still not giving me what I need from him. and I don't understand. What else do I need to do? And what my response was to her was, you may not be capable of repairing a broken man yourself. If he's coming to you from a place of trauma, you can do literally 2,000% of everything a woman is supposed to do, and you may not solve that puzzle. And that sometimes means sometimes there may have to be a third party involved, therapist, whatever, just to kind of go through some of that stuff so that that person can feel comfortable. And a lot of times, what we don't realize is when we get to the point, a lot of women get to the point where, you know, maybe you're in a relationship for a couple of years, you got to look at what you went through for those 2 years and whether all of that go through all of the arguments, whether it's his fault or not, does that culminate into a safe space for somebody to share some soft emotional feeling? So a lot of times we're living in a house and we're enemy combatants every time we argue or every time something happens. So then when it comes to a place of calm, he's not necessarily going to be like, oh, this is safe for me. He's going to remember the person that might have yelled at him or it's that fragile. Like, people don't understand because it's held down so much. It makes us hard, but it also makes us fragile at the same time. And it's a very thin line.
Wow. You know, you brought to mind like my past where I might have gotten so much pushback for being all bubbly and jovial with my energy and my emotions and sharing my thoughts, because I grew up with very few hindrances. You know, culturally, I was always out there doing and making things happen from a young age. So I felt free with myself. But I remember once I got that pushback, I did shut down bits of it. And I found myself just moving from one new relationship to the next relationship, to the next relationship. And bro, I could tell you that I had no clue how the relationship ended. We just kind of faded right out after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months. They just faded right out. And I went right on to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, because I maybe just wasn't daring to once again reveal that side of me because of the pushback from my past. And boy, I mean, you're looking for the little satisfactions then, right? Because you're not looking for the real meats and potato of a relationship. You're kind of just going to deal with the high of the new. Oh, I got this new thing. Yeah, this new thing is fun and fancy. The sex is banging. Oh, nice. Thus the complications start to roll in. Like, I'm out. And you don't even have to say I'm out. It just kind of starts to end out, and it moves you right to the next relationship you fall into.
Yeah.
Say something, one of y'all at the bottom. I just want to make sure that they're back for real.
I think they're both having the internet problems. I said on your show, Derek, they have what was it, Cricket Mobile? You say that?
Cricket Mobile on here, man. Can you hear me? No? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're coming a little choppy as well. This is very interesting, but we're gonna keep moving through this regardless of what's going on, because this is a very important topic for us to talk about. I know once we get this thing back on board, we'll be good. So, Tony, you are putting up comments, so keep putting those up. Rick, why don't you read through some of these comments so we can talk to the people and get them involved.
You might have a better view from your side. So, Derek Jones, can you read them out?
Let me do it. Let me see the one that he has up here.
Fiel Marie.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. It's up a little bit. Hold on. Someone always has an opinion of what is your problem and even what could be your solution, but trust yourself, identify how you feel and manage it.
Absolutely. And I say seek therapy. Like we have to normalize seeking therapy. We have to normalize that, because sometimes we just sitting out here trying to talk to our girlfriends and our friends that are going through the same emotional garbage that we go into and looking for advice. Like, seriously, think therapy. A lot of people have plans that have therapy stuck into them. right? If you go deeper into your medical plan, you'll find out that they'll give you X amount of free sessions to see somebody yearly. So check that out. See if that works for you, and go see somebody. I firmly believe 180% that you should see a therapist once a year, like you go to the doctor to get a yearly checkup. Just go sit down and talk to somebody, just to make sure that what's going on in your head is sane. That's all. Absolutely.
Right.
She is on board with that one.
The concept is this, that from your vantage point, you can see everyone else. You can see what's going on in other people's lives, but you really can't see you unless you look in the mirror. Like how they said, if so many of us get caught up in that microscope type of mindset where you're looking at all the fine points of everybody else's life, but you don't dare to look in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Like you could fine tune and figure out what's going on in other people's life as you work through that microscope, but we don't dare to look at the mirror to find out what are we presenting to the world around us? What are we showing up as? So even if we seek after some other person's opinion because they're going through something similar, it still won't be you. You need to find out and spend time with an individual so they can tell you what you're displaying, what you're showing, what you're revealing, how you're operating. That's the benefit of having a life coach or a therapist, so they can tell you this is how you are actually operating. Because like I said, it's easy for us to look at each other's lives and say, I can tell you this, I can tell you that, but you can't see yourself. And you have no clue about how you operate. And that's when we talked about early in one of the early shows about being married. Being married is like the great revealer, right? The great revealer. You think it's going to make your life all better and wholesome and all that. No, it's going to reveal some things to you, because that other person gets to spend all their time with you, hearing from you, seeing how you operate, when you take a bath, when you don't take a bath, how you show up, how you make love. They're going to get to see how you operate, and they're going to be able to tell you about how you are, where you don't get the opportunity to look at yourself. You might think you're this super wonderful person, but the way you operate is very destructive. That's what we're getting at. We're in relationships, when we talk about taking our feelings and putting them on lockdown, we're actually deleting ourselves from the ability of winning the game in relationships. You're removing yourself from the playing field of being able to operate from a place and space of real love, because you're not being healed. You're just taking your past hurts and carrying it into your next one, and the new person's getting beat up for what the last person did. Because Lord knows I did that. After I went through my divorce and I fell in love, boy, that new girl got it hot. Because all the stuff I tell you now, because all the stuff that I felt that I put up with in my marriage after giving so much, I was like, damn. I said, no, I'm not going to stand up. I'm standing up for yourself in your new relationship based on what your old relationship did ain't fair to the new person, because she going to feel the heat and the hot words and the anger and the pushback, because now you choose to stand up for yourself.
Yeah. So look, I'm gonna read one comment, and then it looks like we got John back. So I'm gonna let him speak, but I'm gonna get this one out. Dope Discussions with Erica podcast on YouTube says men are emotional, but oftentimes they express their emotions through anger or silence because society has told us those are the only manly ways to express themselves. So I don't know if you want to chime in, John. Looks like you're moving in real time. Tony's still stuck in the matrix, but he should be hopefully coming almost back.
I know my sound is about to be hot garbage. I had to switch.
No, you good. You good.
But I mean, we are emotional. We find, I think it was Gunnerman that said it earlier, our host. He said we find, instead of constructive ways to deal with it, we find destructive ways to deal with it. And that's a spot on thing when we're talking about it. But I guess the real question is, we can talk about, all of the contributing factors or whatever, but as men, what are some of the things that we can do? But, therapy, obviously, but you can tell the kind of society that we're living in, because therapy has become very, very, and I'm not saying therapy is a bad thing, but I'm saying when we become a better society, therapy won't be so rampant and necessary for everybody. But we're just churning people in and out. So as men, what are some of the solutions that we can come up with on dealing with our own and the emotional incarceration that our brothers and our friends, and our co-workers and the people we associate with? What are some things that we can do on a personal level? I mean, obviously, the first thing we have to do is identify the fact that we're emotionally incarcerated, that we're emotionally stunted, that we're not operating emotionally intelligently. So that'll be the first thing, is to recognize it. But what are steps? What do you guys think that we can do as men to kind of work through this incarceration? I mean, when you're incarcerated in real life, you go to the gym and get pumped up and all that good stuff. So what are some things that we can do to kind of free ourselves from the bounds of this emotional incarceration that we find ourselves in?
Well, for me, go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
No, T-Wop.
All right. Well, for me, I have two boys, and I've told them from day one, crying is okay. I kiss them, I hug on them, I love on them, because not to offend my step pops, rest in peace, my godfather, amazing man, and my biological father, amazing man. But they didn't offer me that. So I knew that I had to offer my sons that it's okay to release that feeling of anger. We even have a discussion to the point that my children can curse me out. We can go in a room by ourselves. You can curse me out if that's how you feel, right? And it's not in a point of disrespect. It's just to allow them to express all the limits of their emotions. So we can come to an agreement or see where they're at emotionally, so they won't have to walk away from me because I disciplined them and have hatred in their hearts. See, what people always hold on to, the biblical thing is spare the rod, spoil the child, right? But the Bible says, do not upset your child. Do not abuse your child. Do not put your child in a place, in a space where they're going to be angry or disenchanted with you. It tells you that. We don't talk about that, right? We don't discuss those things. We think a child's space should be a child's space. My godfather told me something that was really amazing, and I hold on to it to this day. I was on my path of being one of those emotional simps, as they say, because I didn't know how to speak back to grown-ups when they hurt my feelings or when they said something to me that was disrespectful. He pulled me aside and said, "Listen, as long as you talk to them respectfully, you can express yourself. And if they have a problem with it, tell them to come see me." So whenever somebody in church spoke to me out of line, I would tell them, "I don't like the way you're talking to me. You're talking down to me. You're hurting my feelings, and I don't allow people to talk to me that way. And if you have a problem with what I'm saying, go see my godfather." Period. And we have to give our boys that type of space to go do that. They can't be. And I've said this 1,000 times, and the church gets mad at me. The most emasculating place for black men is single mothers in the church, because you think that you need to raise this boy in a certain way to be masculine by beating on him in front of people, or being emotionally or abusive with him in his language in front of people. That doesn't make him a man. That doesn't equate to manhood. That makes him feel like he's less than. So you can't do that. You gotta love on him like you want somebody to love on you, because we are equally the same.
That's some real good points here, T-Watt. When I think about being able to help someone walk through this emotional roller coaster of incarceration, of emotions, I think about my clients. My clients are guys who want to sit and talk about the things that they're going through and being mad at their spouses because of the things that they have done in the past. Hear me out. They're doing things not consistent enough to keep their spouses blessed. And yet, in the midst of not doing something consistent enough, want to now get on her, get angry with her for her being in the state of not being joyful when he finally does something good. Because I said, how can you continue to do bad and expect her to rejoice in the good moments, because a woman after a while will think like, okay, I can't get too excited with what you're presenting to me, because give it about a week or two, you're about to do something destructive again. So how? So how do you get to the place? And what I had to share with them is this: get to the place and space where you are living in a place of self-love. And self-love is a really, really important thing, because when you find the value in yourself, when you show up for yourself, when you show yourself integrity, when you show yourself to be trustworthy towards yourself, it frees up avenues of your life for other individuals to see you that way, and for you now to believe that they can see you that way. So often we are not trustworthy towards ourselves, and yet we try to get into a place and space where we're saying, show me honor, show me respect, show me that you're trustworthy, and yet we don't do it for ourselves. So we come from a place of being angry at our person because we haven't been consistent enough, and they're constantly giving us pushback. But even when we do something good, no, it's been filled with all these negative things soon to come. All these negative things are soon coming. It goes, yeah. How can I get excited about you mowing the lawn? Because give it a week, I'm going to be pissed at you about you going out to buy something stupid, or not paying attention, go and play video games. What do you think, guys?
Well, let me jump in real quick for that one. We talked about this last week. I'm sorry, John. I see you about to jump in. It's very important to allow a man to clean up the way the man cleans up. Don't come behind him going, I would have did it differently. What is wrong with you? He did it the best way he could. If you want to teach him how to do it, then you guys need to come together and clean up the way you needed to clean up and meet in the middle. The fact that he took his time to clean up, to do the things that you needed him to do, and then you come back and crucify him based on he didn't do it the way you did it. Come on. Come on. Would you take it the same way? Would you, if he told you to go put oil in the car and you poured oil all over the engine, would you want him to yell and scream at you because you didn't do it the way he did it? And you had no idea how it should be done? We are the same. Stop making us less emotional than you guys are.
Man, I'll get in here real quickly, in respect for the host's wishes, because I see we getting close to that hour point. But man, I think about when my son was getting a little bit older and he'd get in school and he'd be going in, and I would come in amongst all them kids and I'd swoop him up and hug him and kiss him. And, he tried to act like he was a little embarrassed. He didn't came a long way since then. Now we can be affectionate now. He's cool with it. But, he used to think that he was cool, man. And I ain't care nothing about what them little kids thought about him getting swooped up and kissed by his dad, because that's my baby, so who care what them kids think? And I think as men, when we talk about our emotional side and our vulnerability, we need to have that self-affirming attitude. When I went in there for my son, I don't care what those people think. That's my son. And, we got to love ourselves that same way. I don't care what people think about it. And a lot of this, when we were talking about some of these vulnerabilities and these insecurities and all of this, it's a concern because the world has told me that men don't do this and men don't do that. But when we become, comfortable with who we are and how we, express into the world, then we become less concerned with what other people say, and we can start to emotionally realize as men. So I think that's a huge thing, is to be able to say, this is who I am. So take it or leave it, but I love me.
That's right. Love me some
see
me.
See if Tony Massey can speak. It looked like he's moving in real time.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
you good. Go ahead.
Hurry up.
Tony Massey, you can take it from any angle you want. This is your floor right now.
I just want to apologize for all the problems, man. Wow, I feel like I missed so much, but I love the conversation because, again, when it comes to, and especially what Tony Watts was talking about as it relates to weaponizing vulnerability, and that's the kind of the term that I use, or the phrase that I use, and it's a very dangerous thing to weaponize a man's vulnerability, because once he feels attacked and the tool that using to attack him is his desire to be vulnerable, you lose him forever. because now he doesn't feel safe. And it's interesting to me how women will put security at near the top of their list as it relates to what they're looking for in a man.
It is on the top of their list.
Right. But I wish more women understood that men are looking for the same exact thing. We want to feel safe and secure in our relationship, that I can cry in front of you, or I can have an emotional reaction to something, or I'll just be afraid and it not become a limiting factor as it relates to my manhood. What I love about my wife is she allows me to be my authentic self. And in being that, I've learned more about me, because now I'm able to just feel. And however I feel, I'm allowed to feel. She does not allow me to get away with, what's wrong? Nothing, I'm good. She holds me to task. No, tell me how you're feeling. Tell me how you feel right now. And your feelings don't have to be justified. You don't have to feel this because. The period stops at I feel, whatever word follows, period. We can deal with the why and the because later on. And when I tell you that that's liberating, to have a woman who just allows you to be in a vulnerable space and then never bring it up again. So when we get into an argument, it's like, well, the next time you want to be crying on some, what I'm saying? That never happens. Right. I'm just allowed to feel. And the best part, again, is I don't have to justify my feelings, where if I'm getting emotional, she's not going to say, well, that's what you're upset about. Really? That's what you're mad about? No, it's fine. Okay. Be in your moment. Would you like me to leave you alone? Would you like me to sit here with you? She gives me a choice. So not only does she let me feel, she gives me a choice as to how I want to deal with those feelings. Right. And that part is important too, because there are times where I need to be by myself. I need to work this out. I need to process this. I'm not ready to talk about it yet. And there are other times where the safest place on the planet is my head and her lap and her just stroking my beard, and everything is cool. And we ain't got to talk about it. We ain't got to discuss it. But the best part is I know a week from now or 2 weeks from now, even at her angriest, it'll never come up. Never come up. That's what
we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's where it is. Because that's the type of stuff that puts you on emotional lockdown, because it's thrown back. Oh, it's that little thing? You're telling me that all that was because of that? Oh, did I hear that, boy? Ooh, that spoke to me. That spoke volumes right there. You have to realize the other person is not you. You don't have the rulership of saying what should matter and what shouldn't matter, what should hit home and what really shouldn't hit home. You don't have that authority. But if you're going to deny your man that, he'll never feel safe with you. He'll never feel safe. For you to throw it to him later on and make him feel like the cultural little girl, right? So, that's what so you go, I'm going to get you upset. You're going to be crying all again. Yeah, boy, that's the stuff that locks you down. It stops you from being, as Tony Massey said, authentic. Being able to operate from the truest version of yourself, working that way, operating that way, speaking from that place. If you can find an individual that will allow you those type of things, that's a keeper. I'll tell you that right now. That is a keeper. Lay my head on the lap, and I'll grow a beard to get a stroke like that. I'll grow a beard so I can get stroked like that. I'll tell you that right now. That's why I'll hand up this baby boy face. Give me a beard, give me a lap and a beard to stroke me. Shucks.
I'm telling you, laying. And at the end of the day, that's the beauty of being a man. We're not simple, but we're also not complicated. You know what I mean? There are levels to us, but we're not complicated.
Can I jump in real quick? I know we closely we said we were gonna get it to an hour, but you know how we gonna have to figure out.
I think at this point, with all the technical difficulties, I think we should just talk. Go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So Tony Massey, my wife does exactly the same thing. She makes sure that here's the thing, right? I want to make a couple points real quick. Sometimes some women, when they get frustrated about you not sharing, they want to force it out of you. And that is the exact opposite of what should be done. Sometimes you don't know the answers, but trying to force it out of a man, it's going to make him retreat. And so the way that Tony Massey spoke about his wife, and my wife does the same thing, when she sees that there's something off, she handles it with kid gloves and says, share with me what's going on with you. Because they live with you. They know you. They know something's not right. Why aren't you talking to me? It doesn't, when it starts to sound like that, it sounds like mama. We want to feel like we have a safe space. The other thing that is the companion to that is we have learned over time how to engage each other better, right? When we engage each other better, even in the midst of an argument, in the pain that normally, the things that we do to hurt each other, when you take that away and it's just an argument, but we know we're not hurting each other. When she comes to me later and says, "How are you? I want to know how you are. Something's off." It feels safer. But when you have all of this mess going on, it doesn't matter if she asking you, what did you do the last hour? You're going to be like, man, just leave me alone. I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and get this drink downstairs in the basement real quick. And we have to realize that when we talked about therapy, the mental health side of this is bigger than a lot of people think in relationships. When you have a man that may be going through anxiety, stress, depression, because we're supposed to be taking care of everything. I was that guy. I'm going to take care of everything. I'm going to provide. I'm going to make sure everybody else is good and worry about me last. And if somebody asks me, how am I doing? I'm going to say I'm good. Until you're not. It's a lot of pressure to carry. And for a lot of time, a long time, my wife was like, dude, I know something's going on with you, but you're not sharing me. How can I help you? And I'll be like, nah, I'm good. Now I'm good. Until it started affecting my health, stress that we put on ourselves. And I was like, oh, I can't keep being like this. Because you got to ask yourself this question, right? And you have to evaluate your relationship, whether you deal with a third party or not. Why am I afraid to talk to the person that I love the most? Why am I afraid of doing that with her? And she's here. She got my back. She walked through fire for me, but I can't tell her I'm having a bad day. And we have a lot of those bad days that we don't talk about. And sometimes, sometimes depression shows up and it looks lazy. Sometimes anxiety and all this other stuff, and it looks like he forgot to take the trash out. He just want to sit down. You got to look at these behaviors. If that's not typically what he does, these things matter. And we won't say, hey, baby, I'm depressed, because we're supposed to handle everything. So we're going to sit back and just let it ride. But the behavior always tells. He's going out to the bar more. He look like he's drinking more. What's going on? He wants to be away from me more. All of these things tell a story over time. Whatever the reason is, you have to create, and like I said earlier, and I'm gonna land my plane with this one. You may not be capable of correcting or fixing someone who has trauma. But whatever you do when you realize this behavior doesn't look good, the worst thing you can do is attack. So I'm gonna just leave that there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good
Definitely.
stuff.
Like
I did want to say one thing if I could.
Go for
it. This is what I started to break up, but I think this is an important point. Tony Watts, you talked about how some women categorized certain behavior as homosexual or gay, right? The only thing that makes a person gay is having a sexual attraction to the same sex. All stop. The colors you wear, the words you say, the clothes you wear, none of these things are inherently, the color pink is not an indicator or something, you know what I mean? It does not make you gay. And we have got salmon, all of that. We've got to get away from this. First of all, it's disrespectful, in my opinion, to the gay community to even characterize something negative as gay. That's one thing. The second thing is my manhood is not up to interpretation for other people, right? I'm a man because that's who I am. Now, the type of man I am, that may be up to interpretation because, and perception. But attacking a man's manhood and calling him gay because of something that you've associated with, straight behavior or whatever the case may be, it's ridiculous and it's got to stop. Because that is what breeds and creates toxic masculinity or hyper masculinity. Where now men are trying so hard to go the other way that they become toxic. And let's be clear, masculinity within itself is not toxic. There is nothing wrong with being a man. There's nothing wrong with being a man. But when you feel like you got to go hard in the paint and be hyper masculine in order to prove that you're a man, that's when you become toxic. Because now you're not being yourself. You're being a caricature of yourself. It's no different than someone trying to act black, right? Or whatever. It becomes comedic and ridiculous. You don't need to yell and puff up your chest and all this stuff to be a man. Just be a man. Be responsible, have integrity, take care of your children, take care of your wife, take care of your family, contribute to society, be a good person. That's manhood. And you can do all that wearing salmon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, John Singletary, you have any thoughts on that? You good? Yeah, like there's just so many different aspects. It feels like because of the disruptions that we didn't free flow it all the way through. But I like the fact that we have opened the door. Let's say that we could get back to this at another time and revisit it to share more in depth on it. Because the cool thing about it is that people get to see 5 guys from 5 different walks of life. I mean, 2 guys, military guys, right? So we got all different types of guys here talking and sharing their thoughts because they get to see for real life there are men out there willing to share what's on their minds because we know the benefits of sharing our feelings. We know the benefits in being the truest version of ourselves because that's the only way that people can either show up for us to help us through our situations, or we could convey to others where we're at. See, when we're faking it, when we're acting a particular way, we're denying ourselves the ability of getting the answers or getting the help or being able to serve out the things that really matter to us, the way it matters to us. What's your thoughts and closing thoughts? What's your closing thoughts, guys? Each one can share a little something.
All right, so let me do me real quick. I think it's time for us to put some more statistics on the table. I told you about the term alexithermia, and how it can cause depression, and how a person, a male or female, being depressed or emotionally detached, what can happen. So what happens when you become emotionally unavailable would lead to traumatic experiences and depressions. And these 2 experiences lead to things that if I can't release them, they have physical effects to the body. So heart attacks go up between 40 and 65%. Cardiac disease go up from 18 to 20%. Pancreatic diseases go up 40%. Multiple sclerosis go up 40%. Strokes go up 10 to 27%. And I'm going to throw this in here for the females that like to withhold sex from their man because they're not having conversations. The cancer that males get, because I don't want to say the wrong word because I can't, it's not coming to my head. That is a 50 to 60% chance more the less you have sex with your partner. I just want to put that out there.
Prostate cancer?
Prostate cancer is something, if you're not having sex with your man, goes up exponentially because you're not having sex with your man. So please, you guys need to start looking at some of the physical effects of depression and not being emotionally intelligent or emotionally releasing what's on your mind can have on your body. I'll leave it at that.
Once again, there is no attack on women. We're talking about what culture has taught us all to believe, and we're now suffering the side effects and the downfall of these cultural beliefs that don't really serve us. Who wants to share next? Everyone close it out a little bit, then we'll close it out. Any closing thoughts?
I'll share. I see John. Well, I'm gonna go first this time, John.
Right.
In a quick technical note, the two guys that had technical difficulties is because they have hair on their head. It causes interference. So next week, y'all gonna have to get with it. But no, this. so back to the topic. I think this is a conversation that has to be an ongoing one because it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem being a man, and it's also even a bigger problem when you're in a relationship and having to kind of navigate a relationship, and being the man of your household and doing all of the duties, and then having to kind of turn that down a little bit for you to be able to be vulnerable with the person that you claim that you love the most. And I think that there's space for growth. And to Tony, I think Watt's point, the other piece to this is that we don't want to have our kids inherit this behavior. If we can help it at all costs to really pass down to them that you don't have to hold it in, because there's dire consequences. We just heard the statistics and all of this stuff. And if you don't even believe that, just look up the male suicide rate. Look at all of these things that we know are true. It's not just because men are, whatever. Men keep so much stuff in. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it's almost like a pressure cooker. And the last point I want to make, and I'm going to repeat it again. Sometimes you, the man yourself and or your spouse or your girlfriend or whatever, do not have the solutions. And you may have to get someone to parse that out for you so that you don't continue down the same path. Because I'm telling you right now, take it from a card-carrying member of the stress club. It ain't cute holding that stuff in, because it can literally affect, your body. And we know our women are here to take care of us and roll us around in a wheelchair and all of that, but we don't want to accelerate the process if we have the opportunity to. So let's really just take the opportunity to really have these talks and really to kind of hunker down on what it is that's holding us back from being, like, again, I say, being able to talk about life and how you feel to the person that you married or the person you've been in a relationship for 10 years. It doesn't compute that that's the person that you don't share anything with. So I'm gonna leave that there.
Yeah, you actually just bring up another point that maybe this is the reason why we're talking about Black Americans, Black young males commit suicide at the age around 17 years old. For so long, at such a young age, they're told they can't show this. This is all bottled up, because the highest rate of suicide is at the age of around 17 years old. 17 years old is Black Americans. So that's a good point. That's something we got to think about. Anyone else who wants to add their final thoughts to it? He's reaching. Watch out now.
Okay. Y'all gonna let me in this time? Okay. Okay. All right. No, man, I just want to say real quickly, once we discover that we've been emotionally incarcerated, I want to really encourage all of us to choose freedom. Incarceration has a different rhythm than freedom, and that can be scary. But we know the saying, sometimes we'll choose familiar hells over unfamiliar heavens. And so, when we have this opportunity, being emotionally free, being free to express ourselves, it's going to be different. It's going to be scary. But when you realize that you've been emotionally incarcerated and you have an opportunity to step out of that and be free emotionally, I'm just going to say, what's that? There we go. I'm just going to say we need to choose that freedom. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's being vulnerable, is being able to operate in a place and space where you don't know the outcome of it. That's being vulnerable. being daring enough to share things and just say, hey, this is my truth. This is my truth. What can we do to help this situation get better? Because I can't do it by myself. I can't fully see me. I can't see me. So I need your help. And like Tony says, sometimes I need a break. Sometimes I need to step away, kind of go in my man cave, do what I need to do to grab my thoughts. But I also have to understand when I come back out, maybe not in that particular moment of exiting that cave, but you now have to take the initiative and say, hey, babe, now I'm ready to discuss this situation. Don't just ignore it, and then it's going to be taken care of. No, you're saying that, no, I'm going to take a break. So that means now you say, you're taking it upon yourself to now say, I am now going to initiate this conversation once again. Because so often we don't initiate it. We're supposed to be the peacekeepers in relationships. Our job is to watch over the family, look over situations, and approach, address in a way that we can resolve these situations before they blow up, before they get big. And that's it. So that mindset of having a nagging wife isn't supposed to take place. It's not supposed to be a part of your relationship. You're supposed to see that there's something go off, and you're supposed to address it. Your habit is to address it, find out what's going on, and let's get to the meat and potato of it. Because sometimes it's her being able to share her thoughts, and then sometimes it's listening to her thoughts and then daring to share your thoughts and saying, this is what I'm feeling too. Tony, close us out, babe. Tony
So
Massey.
I'll just say this: when you know better, you do better, right? As men, we have got to get to a point where we're no longer raising our children based on how we were raised. And this is no slight to our parents. This is no slight to our fathers or our mothers. Or our communities, for that matter, our uncles and aunts and people like that. They did the best they could. They worked with what they had. But let's remember the trauma, not just focus on the outcome. I made it and I'm okay. It's not a suitable reason to put someone through the gauntlet that you went through. There's another way that we can usher our young men into manhood. And being emotionally free and emotionally intelligent not only improves that person's life as far as relationships are concerned, it makes that person more valuable at work, at church, at school, and in his own life. Because how do you ask a man to lead when he's not even allowed to feel, right? I was in the military. I get it, man. I've been in combat, and I know the value of putting up a good, strong face and maintaining your bearing. But when you have to deal with something as traumatic as death, and not just the concept of death, but literally witnessing it on a daily basis, riding home on a ship, and the guy that slept above you on the way there isn't there on the way back. Where do you put all that? If you don't have emotional intelligence, the intelligence to deal with these things so they don't spill over into the rest of your life, and you're not now yelling at your wife and beating your children not because you're angry, but because you have no way to deal with these emotions. And one of our viewers said it best: being a Black man in America, I mean, that's grounds for therapy. Look, if you think about how often we witness our brothers and sisters get accosted and murdered and beaten, and it's become so commonplace that we're running out of hashtags, right? And so you don't have to go to war to have PTSD. Just again, growing up a Black man will give you PTSD, but you got to find a place to put it. The best thing that happened to me, or the best lesson I learned in therapy, is how you feel is a choice. And I tell you, when I finally got that, I stopped using words like, I stopped using sentences like, you made me feel. Okay, I can't make you feel anything, right? Your feelings are in your control. It's your choice. How you react is your choice. How I act is mine. And so when I realize that I can think myself happy, I can avoid traumatic situations and toxic people, and I could just feel what I want to feel, that's what helped me deal with my PTSD. That's what helped me deal with the fact that, my survivor's remorse, the idea that there are people who are no longer on this planet because of me. Those things were heavy, man. And then you add to the type of guy I was, where I wasn't a nice guy. I hurt people. And it was because I did not know how to deal with this trauma, and I felt justified in it. So now that I know better, I try my best to do better. I kiss my son on the face to his chagrin. I tell him I love him all the time. We have deep, profound conversations about his feelings. I tell him what a great person he is. I remind him that he's a better man than me, and that takes nothing away from me. And I even tell him, every day I try to be a better man so that you have a bigger goal. And one day when you have a son, I want you to do the same thing. And when I tell you this kid is emotionally intelligent, this kid can come to me and say, Dad, I don't like that you said that. I don't like that you did that. You hurt my feelings. And that's everything to me, because I didn't have that, man. I hurt your what? First of all, you ain't supposed to have no feelings. Go to your room.
Yeah, boy.
You gotta have a job to have feelings. So I'm gonna close it there. When you know better, do better. And even if you don't have a son, there's somebody walking around who needs a patriarchal role model, and you can be the person that can help them decide to just feel instead of acting.
Yeah, definitely. Once again, it's having open doors to utilize your pain and turning it into your superpower. You've gone through some stuff. You have a very unique perspective on that thing. And now you're looking for opportunities, whether it be your children, your nephews, we talk about men here, or people out in the street playing sports, where you want to now utilize that to warn them, to guide them, to direct them, to lead them on in the things that you suffered, the traumas that you've been through, because you've worked through it and gotten to a place where you feel safe enough to now say, let me pass this on. Let me pass this on to my children. Let me pass this on to the kids in the neighborhood. Let me pass this on to my nephews. So when they get older, if they don't want to talk to mom and dad, come and talk to me. Just come and talk to me. I'm here. So whatever culture is pushing, you want to be that stopgap and say, no, I don't have to feel this way, because I've seen my uncle and I love the man that he is. I've seen my dad and I love the man that he is. And I love the man he allows me to be without feeling less than. So guys, come on. Once again, here we are. Shop Talk. That is it. Man, we got through it, all the technical stuff, and that just doesn't matter. We could always take this up at another time, but people get to hear and to know that there are men here willing to serve up their emotions. They're willing to stand and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Let's work through it. Like arguments shouldn't be a competition to win. You shouldn't be in arguments trying to win. Not when you're dealing with someone that you love. You're not trying to win nothing. You're trying to be able to display your thoughts and your feelings. And Tony said, not trying to justify them at this point. Sometimes just want to be able to say it out loud. This is where I'm at. And together, let's work through it. Together, let's work through it. And I know that I have 5 guys, even though there's 4 right now. I have 5 guys, we have 5 men that can get together and can freely share of our thoughts and our feelings and our passions. So, guys, this is real talk. This is real shop talk. So I appreciate you guys. Once again, close us out. Tell us what's coming up for you this week. And then, of course, we'll drop the little video that Tony Massey put together for you. What's coming up? Because Tony Massey's on my show, the Guns Man Show, this Thursday. So I guess I'll jump right into that. I know that I'm going to be on the Relationship Gumbo. Talk, guys, talk.
So yeah, I'll be on the Guns for Man's show Thursday night. I will be promoting my beautiful wife has hired me as a writer and producer for the Savvy Media Group, a one-stop production shop. She takes it from concept to post-production, and I'm so excited to be a part of this project. I'll tell you more about it on Thursday on the Gunter Man show.
That's
But
right.
you can find me, Tony Massey
7:30.
Speaks, Tony Massey Cooks.
7:30.
There you go.
And then on the Relationship Gumbo podcast this week at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, Gunter Man is going to be on my show. This is how we support each other, guys. This is what collaboration looks like. All of this. We make sure that we support each other. And like I said earlier, the thing that stuck out over these past few days, Tony Massey was on another show. And when I looked in the comments, I saw us. Like, we all was there. And I was like, I knew a couple of us was there, but I didn't expect for all of us to show up. And that spoke volumes. And that is what we want to share with you, is that we can do this, and we can't do these things alone. And so, just to recap, Gunter Man gonna be on my show. Tony gonna be on Gunter Man's show. So we out here just sharing the knowledge and sharing our experiences and everything else. So it's gonna be an amazing week, guys. So that's all I have.
Tony Watts, close us out, man.
Well, I'll close you out from a different point of view. I'm not on anybody's show right now because I've been on everybody's show already.
That's right.
I want everybody to understand this as we close out. And this is not taking anything away from the Black woman. The Black man is the most endangered species on the planet. We are hated from every continent around the world. This thing has been painted that we are the harbingers of death. We are the disparagers of our families. The things that they show in the media is just terrible. And when you really look at the statistics, when you really break it down, there's such a small segment of our society that does these ill things that is getting put on all of us as we do it. So we got to start looking at those positive people. You have 5 positive Black men on this show right now that are doing things for the community on a daily basis. I just want to say to the women, allow us to be emotional, allow us to be afraid, allow us to be weak. We don't have to make 6 figures to be valuable. And that alone time that we spoke about today does not mean we don't like you, does not mean we don't want to be around you. It means sometimes we're trying to figure something out. But if you created such a safe space, when I can't figure it out, I'm going to come to you and go, hey, babe, I've been wrestling just the last couple of days. Here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? Give us a safe space to do that. Give us a safe space to do that.
Definitely.
Emotional intelligence is very important. Everybody should strive to have emotional intelligence. And if you don't, you can learn to have emotional intelligence, right? Once you figure out what it is, you can learn to have it. And I want to take something else from Tony Massey from a tactical military standpoint. He said survivor's remorse, right? That translates into manhood, because we have done, these men that I've spoken to on this platform have done things in our past that we have survivor's remorse of. Our friends have died. All kinds of things have happened. We have broken hearts. We've broken marriages, relationships, and we have survivor's remorse from that. So it comes a time that we need to heal from those things. So when you deal with a man and allow him to be emotional and not just categorize him as something less than because he's showing his emotions. All right. You can catch me on Triumphant TV. I'm coming back full force in July. I just put together a whole new cast of crews that I'm going to be interviewing. So just keep in touch with us, and we'll show you what's going on. And next Monday, again, we're coming. 5 men, no agenda. We just want to balance out the manosphere and the women's sphere of all this negativity between Black and Black women and Black men that we can't get along. We can. and we're going
Absolutely.
to. And we're going to build a village, and that's what we're here to do. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you, and I love all of you guys.
Yep,
Before
and
we
special
bounce,
thanks to everyone that have dropped
hold on,
messages and talked
Gunner
to me.
Man. Before we bounce, make sure you follow my man John Singletary. I don't know what happened; he couldn't get back in. Make sure you check out his podcast, the Help Myself podcast. It is amazing. I listen to it on Spotify. I'm guessing you can find it on other other podcast platforms. But it really is incredible. I mean, for what this brother doesn't say on this show, he drops serious bombs on his show. So it's called the Help Myself podcast. John M Singletary on Instagram. All right, Gunner Man, take us out, bro.
And real quick, just to piggyback on that, if you're not following him, he drops so many jewels on his Instagram and his Facebook page, like mind hacks and all kinds of things. Listen, that brother is powerful. So please follow him, John Singletary, on Facebook and on Instagram. Please.
You guys are the best. See, this is what love is. This is what love is. Love makes sure that each and every one of us are covered. So, guys, thank you, guys. I was going to give a special thanks to everyone that has dropped questions and comments. We really do appreciate you. You are part of the show. You truly are. So thank you for hanging out with us for an hour and a half, talking about this important subject, because it's a life changer. Because when you get to the place where you can share the things that are on your heart freely, it is a life that's hard to put into words. It's a freedom. It's a way of living, and it's a opening of the possibilities of that. You know how we talk about love is nurturing someone into new possibilities. Being able to share your feelings freely nurtures you into new possibilities that you yourself can't even imagine. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. We are Shop Talk. That's right. 5 guys with no agenda.
Hey, John, I didn't cry. I didn't cry.
Yeah, but I almost did. Dang. well, my middle name is Tony, so that's what he meant. There it is. All right, guys. Have a great night. Have a great one. Peace.